Entitled people think it's okay to use the private property where I live as they please. I live in a small apartment building on a very busy street, with a small plaza with a school right across the street, as well as plenty of shops and banks around, so you can imagine there are way too many people passing by every day. Almost all apartment buildings have their main entrance right on the sidewalk, but in our case it's different. In order to get to the building entrance you enter a short and tiny path, a few steps long, which has a staircase to the basement on the left side and a few steps going up on the right, so you go up the steps and there is a little open space with the building door. This path is obviously part of the private property that comes with the building, and it's obvious from the fact that it is between the building and the adjacent piece of land and is not part of the public sidewalk. This, however, has not stopped people from using this open space as they please, as if they own everything here and can do whatever they want. The thing is, all residents here are also owners of the respective apartments they live in, just like the apartment I live in is owned by my family, and have been living here for at least 17 years, so you can imagine that by now they are all sick of this type of situation because it's their own actual property. The most common occurrence was people using the left staircase, the one leading to the basement, as their personal toilet. They'd literally just take a short detour from the sidewalk into our private property, go down the stairs and do their business. Until a few years ago when we installed metal gates to block access to the basement, this was an almost daily event. I mean, there is a pizza place right across the street, a coffee shop right next to the path entrance and a few other coffee shops around the area, but I'm guessing people preferred our basement because it was free. I'd hear stories from my mom who would happen to be present when random pedestrians thought of using our basement, and she'd tell me how she yelled at them. I only happened to run into one person, an old man, while he was doing his business, and I yelled at him, saying, "Have you seen me come to your home to urinate? What gives you the right to do so at my home?" And when he replied, "I have a condition that requires me to visit the bathroom frequently," I said, "If you need a bathroom, there are so many places around here that actually have one, and if you need a free one then go urinate on your own doorstep. Otherwise, don't bother leaving your home at all." People probably heard me all the way to the bus stop next block, because I was getting stares when I got there, could have also been because of the fact that I was furious and literally shaking. The other common occurrence is young people using this area as a hangout spot and littering. Our apartment building has 3 apartments used as learning centers, one is for computers so it gets mostly teenagers and the other 2 are for elementary school kids. The elementary school kids come and go with their parents so we have no problems with them, but the teenagers are a different sort. Those would sometimes use even the inside of the building, talking and smoking and littering. Thankfully this only lasted a short while because they'd get caught by my mother and her brother. I'm not talking about waiting around for a few minutes for your friend to come downstairs so you can leave together, I'm talking about staying for over an hour, being loud and throwing trash around. As if the teenagers were not enough, during the quarantine our property would be used as a hangout place for people of older ages as well. They'd grab coffee from the coffee shop next to the path entrance and then come to the building entrance and hang out, talk loudly and always litter. Since then, it's more common to find trash laying around every morning than it is to not find anything. This brings me to last week's incident. It was around 1:20 a.m. when I started hearing sounds of people laughing, hitting each other and talking loudly this late at night. There is also a chance they had come earlier and I had not noticed. After so many years it feels like white noise if it's below a certain noise level, though that's highly unlikely because my balcony is right above the building entrance and that group was way too loud. I live 3 floors above ground, my balcony doors which provide decent soundproofing were closed, and those people still sounded like they were next door. It's not like I was trying to sleep and they were disrupting the silence, I was just annoyed because it was really late at night and they had no business being there in the first place. So, after waiting 20 minutes to see if they would leave, and hearing that they hadn't left, I stepped out onto the balcony to observe and see whether I would need to intervene. Upon stepping outside I saw a big group of boys, probably within the 15 to 20-year-old range, just being too loud and acting like they were at their own home. To be honest, I usually feel a little scared when it's just me against a big group, even from the safety of my home, so I didn't immediately say anything, and being on the 3rd floor, they never noticed me. I observed them for about 10 minutes in order to make sure I needed to intervene, and to gather enough courage to do so, or rather, to gather enough anger so I would not care about being afraid haha. After observing them for those 10 minutes I saw that they apparently had no intent of leaving or lowering the sound levels. They were also smoking and throwing their cigarettes on the ground right in front of the building. One of them threw his still lit cigarette in the vacant piece of land next to ours which has green plants. At that point I was fuming. Enough is enough, we don't need a fire on top of everything, so I was waiting for a trigger to set me off. That was when I saw one of the boys, who had left a few minutes earlier, come back with a snack. The coffee shop at the path entrance is open 24/7. Tear off a piece of the packaging, throw it on the ground, take out the snack and throw the rest of the packaging on the ground. That was when I lost it and I suddenly yelled, in the middle of the night when none of them was expecting to hear a voice, "Is that how you throw trash around in your own home?" I swear, the look of shock and mild terror as he looked up was so worth it. He stuttered, "And no, I am going to throw it away, I swear." I had no more patience, so I said, "You pick it up and throw it in the trash bin this very moment." Info: the trash bin is right at the path entrance, literally a few steps away from where he was standing, and all of you get up and get out of here. If you want to hang out, the plaza across the street is a fine spot. One of them tried giving me an attitude, saying, "Or what? You'll call the police?" I said, "We have every right to do so, this is private property. Go on public property, or if you have the guts, go to your own homes to be so loud and to throw cigarettes and trash around." They slowly got up and started going down the steps to exit the property. The one with the attitude tried making a joke, "It's our citizen right to be here," and I said, "For public property only. Get out of here and good riddance." I stayed there watching to make sure they all left. The one with the snack packaging was looking up the whole time as he was leaving, either to check whether I was still there or to remember my face, but they all left and didn't come back. I swear, the adrenaline rush after they left was so much, it took me another 2 hours to feel sleepy again. But it was definitely worth it, not just because I kicked out people who had no business being there in the first place, but also because I was always afraid to say anything when it was more than one person, and everything worked out well. To be honest, I was afraid of any possible retaliation from their part in the upcoming days, but so far it's been 5 days and everything is okay, laughing face. Edit: for everyone who says to put gates up front, you are indeed absolutely right. It is something that the owners had previously discussed because the situation was too much. However, the cost was high, the owners were few, and there were still a couple of them who didn't want to pay their share, which means that the cost was even higher for those who wanted it. That was why we opted for at least blocking access to the basement for sanitary purposes, and hope to eventually come to an agreement for a gate up front. Till then, we can only keep our eyes open. I worked in a few places currently in a cafe, and I do volunteering in some charity shops. So I do deal with a lot of entitled people almost daily due to my workaholic lifestyle where I constantly want to be doing something. Some small things which are annoying but happen quite often is in charity shops where people try to use blue light cards in charity shops when we don't accept them. I get it, you do a good job that helps people but often doesn't pay well. But everything we sell is extremely cheap. We had a lady try to buy Dr. Martens which we were selling for £6.99 and she tried to use a blue light card. I explained to her that we don't accept blue light cards here. Usually the woman would let out that loud sigh to make it clear she is annoyed with you or make a comment about how ridiculous that is. But no, she instead said along the lines, "You do accept it, every shop does." Which is not true, not every shop accepts it, which I did calmly explain to her, and after around 5 minutes of going back and forth she finally stopped arguing and paid for the shoes. Another small thing which is annoying that does not happen that often but often enough that I can say confidently it happens at least twice a week, is when a person, usually a man, comes into the cafe I work at and orders multiple things of the menu and complains when it takes too long. I am sorry, but ordering a stack of 5 pancakes, 2 chicken wraps, 2 large Cokes, several waffles, hash browns, sausages, baked beans on toast and black pudding does not take 2 minutes. These are annoying and I could name even more that annoys me, but I can deal with those easily and they don't bother me too long. Usually once the person leaves the cafe or shop I practically calm down instantly. But what happened today, that is what made me want to quit working completely. I didn't though. It starts off as a normal day, actually better than a normal day as we had a calm day, not many people and just small families with teenagers, so we don't have to deal with messy tables or little children running around or yelling. But a large family came in. There was a total of 8 children. I would say the youngest was around 4 and the oldest was around 7. Clearly wasn't all their children, perhaps a small party though I doubt it was. They asked for a table for 20, there was only 9 of them, so it was a little confusing, and I explained that we don't have tables big enough for a table of 20, but we have a table that can fit 15 if they want that one instead. That table usually is booked but wasn't today, and I wish it was, as they might have went to another cafe and bothered someone else. It was lucky for them but not for me, the other waitress and our chef. It took around 15 minutes to get all the kids to the table. The parents were not helping, and usually if kids are running around we do not do anything, but these kids were climbing everywhere. Some of these 6-year-olds almost made it into the kitchen if it wasn't for the EM for yelling at them that they can't go in the kitchen as they might end up poking an eye out. Bear in mind we don't have anything around these 6-year-olds eye level that would poke an eye out, but we do have a lot of boiling water, knives and extremely hot stoves, so the whole kitchen is quite dangerous in my opinion for a bunch of 6-year-olds. But that is all the parents did to try and control these kids, and when I asked, "Do you mind calling your children to the table as they are causing a disturbance in the cafe?" their response was, "There isn't anyone else here, they are fine. If you have such an issue with it, you go get them back to the table." I generally was shocked at this. My coworker, who we can call Jess, was on her break, but she was kind enough to end her break early to help me get all these kids to the table. I am so thankful for that, as well as I am not good with kids. I only managed to get 2 of the kids back to the table and she managed to get the rest back with ease. And once we got the last kid back, the who had dirt on their face as he was digging up the plants, these EP had the audacity to say to us, "Took you long enough." We do have a strict boss who wasn't in yet, so we didn't want to kick them out before our boss could actually see what was happening, as he would be on the customer's side before even checking the security footage and checking with us to see what actually happened. So we just tried our best to bottle up how we were feeling and hoped our boss, we can call him Ross, not his real name, same as Jess is not the real name of my coworker, would come back in time to actually deal with them. According to Jess, as she worked here longer than me, she said that we only had 1 person kicked out and banned from the cafe, and they weren't as worse as these people, so that got my hopes up that I will never have to deal with these people again. Now let's skip a few minutes to when the ED whistled me over like a dog. I did make a comment at this saying, "Please don't whistle at me to get my attention, you can call my name, Thea." He scoffed at this and then proceeded to say their order. It was a large order but expected for a large group and wasn't as bad as I expected. I thought it would be more as they were being so rude, but I tried thinking positively that perhaps they had a bad day and they are just overwhelmed with all these kids. Now this order had a lot, so Jess helped out the chef, who we can call Eric. Jess isn't the best cook, but she only did the easy things like boiling the eggs for him or making the toast whilst he made the pancakes and waffles. During this time I tried sitting at one of the booths not close to them, but I could see their whole table and I did keep a close eye on them. I thought this was a smart idea, and it would have been if they didn't need something every 5 seconds. How long will it take? Are you allowed to be sitting down during your work? We want a new cup, these are too small. There isn't enough ice in my water. We want new cutlery, these are dirty. I can confirm they were not dirty, and they didn't even notice that I just gave them the same cutlery back to them, as I knew they were clean. And before says that they might have dropped it or something, I had my eye on them the whole time to make sure they didn't cause any chaos, and the cutlery they wanted to change. Only the EP's cutlery were the only ones left untouched. Does the pancake have eggs in it? They asked out of curiosity, not even for allergies or dietary reasons. Do you have a spare hairband? Mine broke. Oh wait, I got one in bag, never mind. And this was annoying, and I felt as if they knew what they were doing, as once I sat down every time they would call me over, "Ehem. Thea," in that annoying teacher's voice made me want to rip my ears off. But I kept calm, answered all their questions with a smile on my face. Now here in the UK we don't get tipped as nicely as Americans. Quite often I don't even get tipped, so I did this expecting perhaps a small tip for dealing with them. It took around half an hour to get all their food at. We wanted to make sure it all comes out at the same time and it was all warm, but the eggs and toast for the parents were finished quicker than accepted, so they came out 5 minutes earlier than the rest of the food. This is where the chaos everyone loves happens. "Mom, where's the rest of the food?" Me, "Oh, they are about to be right out." "Mom, how long?" "Exact time, we aren't mind readers." And she gives that dirty smile that make you feel so angry, as you can tell that they aren't being nice at all. Me, it should just be 5 minutes. I try laughing it off, as usually it works with the rude people I serve. "Dad, why is it taking so long? We have been here for hours and you want us to wait even longer." Me, "The tickets say the time that they were printed. I know you have been waiting for around 30 minutes, but that is expected to make 4 deluxe 5 stacked pancakes and 3 deluxe waffles. And you did request for all the food to come out at the same time. We did try to time it, but your 2 meals just finished quicker than expected, so we didn't want it to get cold." I did expect them to interrupt me, but they actually let me say all of this, so I thought they might have understood that we were doing our job best as possible and didn't want to serve them cold food. "Mom, you are a chef and you don't know how long it takes to boil an egg? Pathetic." Me, now a little annoyed but still trying to be nice, "I am not the chef, and he just made one small mistake and we are so sorry about it." "I am not sorry at all." "Dad, you seem very sorry with that attitude." Me, "I am sorry if I gave an attitude, I just had a long day." "I have not had a long day, but I need to stay calm as I know my boss will be back soon, and if I were to yell at them like I wanted to, I just know he would walk in and fire me on the spot." "Mom, we also had a hard day, but you don't see us being bitchy." "Dad, just get the pancakes out now." Me, "I will go see if they are done now." I leave. I can hear them snicker and talking about me being incompetent and unable to do simple tasks, but I started to feel as if luck was on my side as once I get into the kitchen I see Ross entering from the back at the same time as me. I explain everything quick as possible. The pancakes were almost done, they just was plating it all up. He was very understanding and told me to stay at the counter at the front and serve any new customers, and he will serve this family. So this is everything I heard and saw. He serves the family. I can see them complain and heard them talk even more shit about me, saying how she is so bad they replaced her already. Now I could see Ross getting annoyed, but he was doing his job. He didn't put on his manager badge and instead had another coworker's badge on, so I realized he was pretending to be a normal employee so they wouldn't start acting differently as he owns the cafe. When the food all gets there, the kids were extremely messy, even wiping their dirty hand from all the ice cream and chocolate sauce on the chairs. Now these chairs had fabric on them and can be easy to stain if left dirty. I saw the parents laughing at this and not telling them off, not even saying anything to the kids. Then I saw the kids starting to get up and run around again. Now Ross already knows how bad they were when they first were running around, and now they are covered in food, so you can assume it is worse. Before I go to stop them, Ross tells me, "That's my table now, I'll deal with it." So he goes over to the parents and tells them, "Tell your children to sit down, they are making a mess," and he got the same response as they gave me. This is when he says, "I'll get your bill." I heard some arguing. Apparently they didn't want to pay yet or leave, so he explains how they are being kicked out as their behavior is making the cafe a mess and making people not wanting to come into the cafe. Now this felt like something out of one of these Reddit stories when they said, "You can't kick us out, you're not the manager." And I saw his smirk, "I am the manager, you are being kicked out, and if you don't leave you will be banned from ever eating here again." Me and Jess loved this. If we had popcorn it would have been perfect. They refused to leave for a few minutes but did pay, and when they were leaving he yelled out, "You are banned, forever, never come back here you cunts," and this father turned around so quickly and yelled, "We have children, don't swear in front of them." This is where I cut in and say, "You were swearing in front of them earlier." Now Ross did tell me off for this comment, but not in front of them, as he didn't want to make them feel as if they were in the right, as they weren't. But they did argue with Ross for a bit, and this I will just summarize it for you. They didn't want to leave, wanted a refund for bad service, Ross saying they paid for the food and did not tip, and since they ate all the food they won't get a refund. This repeats until he threatens to call the police, so they leave. Now he didn't check the security footage, but he said judging from their behavior he knew what we said was the truth. Which was nice to hear. This is my first proper Reddit post, so I hope it was good. If you want to hear more of these sort of stories I have plenty, some worse, but this happens recently and I only just got Reddit, so it just felt right to vent about it.